Game of Thrones Season 3 adapts only the first half of A Storm of Swords. This season sees a sudden shift in tone, sometimes towards the comical, while still doing the book justice and adding great moments of original dialogue.
Any advice for me on my new position?
Keep a low profile.
If I had a gold dragon, every time I heard that joke, I'd be richer than you are.
Well, you are richer than I am.
Good point.
Like and subscribe if you like what you see. Here are the top 10 changes from A Storm of Swords to Game of Thrones Season 3. Another example of the show's ability to develop characters through original scenes that remain true to the source material comes in this invented scene when Catelyn tells Talisa of her failure as a woman for resenting Jon Snow.
I didn't want to see those brown stranger's eyes staring up at me. I prayed to the gods. Take him away. Make him die. He got the pox. And I knew I was the worst woman who ever lived.
While Catelyn's coldness towards Jon is well established in the book and the show alike, the show takes it one step further to provide this vulnerable glimpse into her guilt and regrets.
So I prayed to all 7 gods. Let him live. And I'll love him.
And he lived.
And he lived. And I couldn't keep my promise.
Roose Bolton's portrayal in the show is remembered fondly amongst fans, but some book readers were disappointed to see the unique, soft-spoken, eerily cold, and calculating, almost demonic character in the book change to someone so human.
200 Northmen slaughtered like sheep.
The debt will be repaid, my friend. For them and for your sons.
In the books, Lord Bolton is described as having a peculiarly ageless appearance with ghostly pale skin and unsettling colorless eyes like chips of dirty ice. His voice is so soft that people must strain to hear him. He's known for regular leechings, which he claims purifies his blood, leading some to call him the Leech Lord.
Forever young.
Some distinguished members of the internet even speculate that Roose could be a skin-changing half-human who's lived for centuries by taking other people's skin, similar to how the Faceless Men do it. While he's often described as cold, pale, and inhuman, there is, however, no solid evidence to suggest that this is true. If you don't remember Mance Rayder's backstory from the show, it's because he didn't really tell it. In the book, there's a defining moment to Mance's transition from Black Brother to Wildling, where he explains that he had been wounded on a hunt and treated by an old Wildling woman. She mended his cloak with precious burgundy fabric, but when Mance returned to the Watch, they replaced his cloak with a new black one, never recognizing the symbolism of the old woman's gift.
The freedom to make my own mistakes was all I ever wanted.
But freedom is a fragile thing. If you ask anyone south of the Wall, they'll tell you that the Wall is the only thing standing between us and the bad guys. Bad guys who want to take our lives, our freedom, and our data. But we don't need a 700 feet wall of ice to keep our information safe thanks to today's sponsor, NordVPN. Nord gives you the freedom to break the regional barriers of the internet while protecting your data from being intercepted. Say you live in Pentos and want to watch The Real Housewives of Sunspear, but it's not available in your region. Nord allows you to connect to servers in over 100 countries and browse the internet on your own terms. I actually do use NordVPN daily. It makes me feel comfortable connecting to public Wi-Fis and allows me to access the internet as if from anywhere in the world. Go to nordvpn.com/culturevulture and get 4 months extra on your subscription. It's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee.
They always get their gold back.
Nice.
Also, did you know that when Mance heard King Robert was coming up north, he actually snuck into Winterfell during the Winterfell feast in book and episode 1? That's right, the Night's Watch kinda forgot to turn their VPN on, and Mance, the little Trojan, strolled right over the wall and into Winterfell disguised as a bard. Maybe the Starks would have caught him if they had NordVPN's Threat Protection Pro, which blocks intrusive ads, trackers, and scans for malware. Guess you could say Mance had a pretty good proxy.
No shame in that.
In a world that has forgotten the value of privacy,
The Nord remembers.
by using the link in the description, you not only get to support the channel, but you also get 4 months extra on your subscription. Stay safe.
In the ancient books, it's written that a warrior will draw a burning sword from the fire, and that sword shall be Lightbringer.
The legend of Azor Ahai and the forging of Lightbringer, the ancient myth about triumph over darkness, is widely revered by various characters and cultures across the known world. Azor Ahai forged his sword Lightbringer through immense sacrifice. Legend goes that he tempered it first with water, then the heart of a lion, only to fail before plunging it into the heart of his wife, Nissa. Her loving soul fused with the blade, creating a weapon to drive back the shadow, making Lightbringer a symbol of personal sacrifice and a tool in uniting the virtuous against darkness. The prophecy foretells Azor Ahai's rebirth, coinciding with the resurgence of a cold and evil darkness, what Westerosi lore calls the Long Night.
When the snows fall 100 feet deep, and children are born and live and die, all in darkness.
The show minimizes the depth of this myth, and the name Azor Ahai never actually occurs. The show focuses mainly on Melisandre's interpretation through the prince that was promised, which she initially believes points to Stannis.
Stannis Baratheon, warrior of light.
Then to Jon.
Stannis was not the prince who was promised, but someone has to be.
And after gauging the people's enamorment with Arya, the show even spares a moment in season 3 to set up the potential outcome that she could be.
The prince or princess who was promised.
Brown eyes, blue eyes, green eyes. Eyes you'll shut forever. We will meet again.
And while this is certainly an intriguing subversion of expectations, it makes no damn sense at all. Seeing as Arya's arc is all about identity, not about sacrificing everything to save the world.
But someone has to be.
That's right. And in my upcoming video series on fixing Game of Thrones, we will leave no such stones unturned, so stay tuned for that. One of the more colorful omissions from the book is Strong Belwas, a massive, scarred eunuch warrior who accompanies Sir Barristan when he seeks out Daenerys. In fact, Book Barristan's whole introduction plays out quite differently. Rather than immediately revealing who he really is, he takes on the alias Arstan Whitebeard and poses as Strong Belwas' squire in order to gauge Daenerys and see whether she's actually a leader worth following or mad like her father.
I've burnt away my years fighting for terrible kings. Just once in my life before it's over. I want to know what it's like to serve with pride, to fight for someone I believe in.
This also changes the dynamic between Sir Barristan and Jorah. In the book, Arstan frequently challenges Jorah's version of events from Robert's Rebellion, creating tension long before his true identity is revealed. Belwas too is quite the character. A former pit fighter from Meereen, he has never lost a fight and proudly displays a scar from each victory. His most memorable moment comes when he, shall we say, leaves a special message for the Masters of Meereen after defeating their champion in single combat. In the show, this honor is given to Daario Naharis. Both versions work in their own way. The show's more direct approach fits television's need for clear character dynamics, while the book's elaborate deception adds layers of intrigue that work better on the page. Where the show has Locke and his Bolton men capture Jaime and Brienne, the book features a far more grotesque group called the Brave Companions, sometimes referred to as the Bloody Mummers, led by a lisping sellsword called Vargo Hoat the Goat, with his long goatee. Then there's Urswick the Faithful, Shagwell the Fool, who tells jokes when he kills people, and other colorful cutthroats from across the free cities. The show's decision to replace them with Locke and his men makes practical sense, as it's easier to focus on a single antagonist than a whole band of distinctive characters. It also strengthens the Bolton connection when Locke later appears as an antagonist to Jon at the Wall in Season 4.
Name's Locke. Jon Snow.
Locke, who of course is sent to the Wall to find and kill Bran and Rickon, who after the Red Wedding pose a threat to the Bolton claim to the North should they return. One of the most significant character-building sequences absent from the show is Jaime's fever dream while resting his head on a weirwood stump after leaving Harrenhal. In this vivid dream, he finds himself deep beneath Castle Rock, holding a burning sword, much like the legendary Lightbringer. He's confronted by the ghosts of his fallen Kingsguard brothers, including Arthur Dayne, Oswald Went, and Jon Darry. These specters, all having died protecting the Targaryens, demand to know why Jaime broke his vows.
Kingslayer, Oathbreaker, man without honor. If your precious Renly commanded you to kill your own father and stand by while thousands of men, women, and children burned alive, would you have done it?
But the dream goes deeper than just guilt over killing Ares. These ghosts represent everything Jaime once aspired to be: true knights, honorable men, and their accusations force him to confront not just his kingslaying, but how far he's fallen from the idealistic young knight who once took those vows. Then Brienne appears in the dream, also wielding a burning sword, fighting alongside him against the encroaching darkness. This symbolic moment foreshadowing their growing alliance and suggests that Jaime still has the potential for redemption. One of the more mystical elements cut from the book is the Ghost of High Heart, a tiny albino woman with red eyes whose prophetic dreams hold clues to both past and future events. She was once a close friend to Jenny of Oldstones, whose marriage to Prince Duncan Targaryen changed the course of the succession. She's the one who made the prophecy that the prince that was promised would come from the line of Aerys and Rhaella Targaryen, leading to their father arranging their marriage. In the books, Arya encounters the witch twice while traveling with the Brotherhood Without Banners, who pay her for sharing her dreams, such as,
"I dreamt of a shadow with a burning heart butchering a golden stag,"
predicting Renly's death by Stannis' shadow assassin.
"I dreamt of a man without a face waiting on a bridge that swayed and swung. On his shoulder perched a drowned crow with seaweed hanging from its wings,"
foretelling Balon Greyjoy's death, likely by a faceless man hired by Euron.
"I dreamt of a roaring river and a woman that was a fish. Dead she drifted with red tears on her cheeks, but when her eyes did open, oh, I woke from terror,"
prophesizing Catelyn's death and resurrection as Lady Stoneheart, but more on that in the next video. The old woman becomes particularly distressed when she sees Arya, sensing the death that surrounds her.
"I see you, wolf child, blood child. I thought it was the Lord who smelled of death."
And as payments for her prophecies, she only asks that Tom of Seven Streams play her Jenny of Oldstone's song, the same song that Podrick later sings in the show before the long night.
Jenny would dance with her ghosts, the ones she had lost and the ones she had found, and the ones who had loved her the most.
Perhaps the biggest change in portrayal comes with Daario Naharis, and I'm not just talking about how they swapped the actor playing him. He dresses in bright yellows and brings a whole new meaning to fashion statement with his dyed blue beard, brows, and George knows what else. In fact, the show consistently tones down all the characters from the Free Cities. Just look at Salador Zan, for example, who trades his flamboyant feather hats and bright clothing to a more practical pirate aesthetic.
"I am a pirate."
This streamlining makes sense for television, however, where too much visual extravagance might distract from the drama. I don't suppose HBO viewers in 2013 would have preferred the more colorful portrayal that came a decade later in House of the Dragon, but let me know in the comments which you prefer. While both the show and the books portray the Tyrells as shrewd political players, well, the women at least, the books give us a much fuller picture of their family dynamics, however, by including two major characters completely absent from the show: Willas and Garland Tyrell, Loras and Marjorie's older brothers. Willas, the eldest, is the heir to High Garden, despite being crippled in his first tournament by none other than Oberyn Martell. While this deepened the existing divide between House Tyrell and House Martell, Willas didn't hold a grudge and even became pen pals with Oberyn. Garland, the second son, is noted to be an even finer swordsman than Loras, known to practice against 3 or even 4 men at once. He's also the one to wear Renly's armor in the Battle of the Blackwater, a task given to Loras in the show. Show Loras also gets assigned to marry Cersei, resulting in the shortest scene in the entire series.
My father once told me.
Nobody cares what your father once told you.
Book Loras, on the other hand, makes the calculated decision to join the Kingsguard in order to protect Marjorie, and Willas is the one who gets the offer to marry Cersei. The omission of Willas and Garland, while understandable for TV, removes some of the depth from the Tyrell family and simplifies their political machinations.
Honor!
Jojen and Mira Reed have very different introductions in the show versus the books. The book sees them arrive openly at Winterfell during the Harvest Feast to swear allegiance to Robb. The show, however, opts for a more dramatic entrance in Season 3 by having them mysteriously appear in the woods.
We've come a long way to find you, Brandon, and we have much farther to go.
Book Jojen is notably younger, more solemn, and carries a profound melancholy stemming from the knowledge of his fate. He's known as the Little Grandfather due to his eerily adult way of speaking. Book Mira is a more active protector and teaches Bran survival skills. Apart from the spear, she also keeps a net and a rusted helm as part of her arsenal. A famous addition to the show was the reward Podrick Payne received for saving Tyrion's life at the Battle of the Blackwater. Tyrion takes Podrick to a brothel and introduces him to several lovely ladies, leaving a fat purse on the table and Podrick to enjoy.
He's handsome. You didn't tell me he was handsome.
Be back in time for my supper.
But when Pod returns, he hands the gold back to Tyrion's surprise.
Oh, it was a gift, Podrick.
I wouldn't take it, my lord.
What did you do to them?
Lots of things.
And they seem to like these things?
Yes, my lord.
Sit down, Podrick. We're going to need details.
The mystery of what Pod actually did to those girls was ultimately never explained, though many assume that it was what he did with his mouth that won them over. Singing, to be precise. As always, let me know which changes you found most interesting. Next up is A Storm of Swords versus Season 4. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.